tribal. And human nature is that we all want to feel part of a tribe. We all want to feel connected. We all want to feel alive. And that season, ladies and gentlemen, is Australian football, the AFL. There is nothing quite like being at the MCG at a grand final with 100,000 people. The players come on the ground, they come through their banners, and the crowd are just waiting in intense anticipation. And we're getting ready for the siren to ring, and the siren goes, and the incredible roar that just surrounds the whole MCG. Affectionately known at the G. Now that is the MCG at its best, at grand final. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you about my family, sport, and growing up in grand final, well, not in grand finals, but going to grand finals. And I believe everyone has also an innate sense that we all want to belong, and we all want to belong to a certain tribe, which is why we pick the football teams that we do. So I grew up never missing a grand final between 1975 and 1990. And that's because my dad worked at the AFL. In 1990, the VFL, became the AFL, went to Sydney, came back to Melbourne, and then unfortunately my dad lost his job. What was his job? Well, every grand final he would go to the MCG and he'd meet a whole troop of scouts that would be waiting with all the balloons in big wrappings, waiting for release when the siren started and the players came on the ground. So when the balloons were released, the sound was deafening, the feeling of the roar and the players coming on the ground, and the angst that you could feel in the players as well. I mean, they're on the ground with their own internal roar. Everyone is at fever pitch, the whole crowd and the players. And the almighty roar can be deafening. Now, believe it or not, I'd meet my dad outside the ground, and then I would be with all my university friends in tow, and Dad would get us all in, every one of us. And that's not including my family, my cousins, my uncles. I couldn't believe how many uncles I had. And he got us all in. And better than that, we could go wherever we wanted. So I chose the members' stand. And the interesting thing is, I had no interest in football whatsoever. I was there just for the excitement and to feel the roar and to have my gin and tonic on a Saturday afternoon. So there I'd be sitting in the members' bar. I could hear the roar of the crowd, and I could feel the roar vibrating through the window. And I'd know to look over to the ground to see which team had just kicked a goal. These days, people get to the grounds days before trying to get a grand final ticket. They have one deck chair, and it becomes their house, their kitchen, their bedroom. They have people bringing them food parcels at night. And then they crawl into their sleeping bag and just dream, please God, just one ticket to the grand final. Very different from the good old days where I just used to waltz in. I had a great time. So growing up through this experience really gave me my love of excitement. Never really caring about which team won. But now I'm older and I want to feel part of a tribe. So my son has flown the coop, literally. I think he's inherited the excitement gene. And he's feeling his own roar as he's firing up those engines on the runway, waiting for the signal from the control tower to take off with one almighty roar. And let's face it, that G-force when you're in a plane on taking off, it just takes your breath away. And before flying, he was riding very fast, sporty motorbikes. And he said, "Mum, there's nothing like heading for that freeway ramp. And you go into another world. You become one with the bike. And the vibration just runs through your whole body and you feel the roar." So my son clearly had a very different upbringing to me. And my dad was a Hawks supporter. But you know what? That is something I inherited. And with football teams, you either inherit one or it's territorial. And my Rostrum club just happens to be in the team that everyone loves to hate. Collingwood. Do you know that they are the most despised sporting team in all of Australia? And that's all sport, not just football. How dare a working class club be so successful? And successful they are. They won the first grand final in 1902. They've actually won, I know they didn't win last year, but they have won 15 grand finals. So, back to the VFL, we only had 8 teams, and now with the AFL, we have 18 teams across our nation. And we are passionate. We are so passionate about football. And so I feel every single one of us craves being bigger than something than ourselves. By nature, we are tribal. And back in the caveman days, tribal culture was necessary for survival. I think just like in the caveman days, a feeling washes over you when you're at the football. And if you've been at the football and watched grown men cry, hug the person next to them who they've never ever met before, and they all rise up and they feel the roar, that almighty roar that a goal has just been kicked, whichever one got kicked. I was busy having my gin and tonic. So we see the players almost taking off with their fists in the air, just like an aeroplane jumbo taking off. The G-force at the G, transcending the ordinary, ladies and gentlemen. And when we express letting go of so much, you'd think it would be good for your health, but tell you what, you've got to be careful you don't have a heart attack, because such is our passion for the game. The players give their all. The supporters backing them all the way. The energy of 100,000 people getting behind their team is something really to experience. And to have a shared sense of identity that we are all one is all part of feeling the roar. So my father loved Hawthorn and letting off the balloons at the grand final every year, and my son loves flying planes and, well, he doesn't ride fast motorbikes anymore, that got superseded by the aeroplanes. And I just love the pure essence of the excitement of being anywhere where you can feel the roar. You know, whether it be at the grand final or whether I'm taking off on worldly trips. But there's nothing quite like the frenzy that happens at the MCG when you're with 100,000 people. Ultimately, we all want to feel part of a tribe, whether you're into football or not. And it's wonderful to feel alive and connected, whatever this season may be, and to feel the roar that transcends the ordinary.